Welcome to Sentinel 17 Gaming. I'm Steve Sterling. Thanks for checking out my channel. If you do like this video, feel free to hit the like. If you haven't subscribed already, feel free to do so and hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when I upload new content. Today's video is about Shadow of the Colossus. Now, it is a free title with PlayStation Plus for the month of March, and I wanted to take the time to talk about it because a lot of people, I think, that have PlayStation 4s now may not have played it before. And a lot of that is due to people shifting over from Xbox to PlayStation at the start of this generation. Everyone remembers how crazy the E3 in 2013 was and how many people left Xbox by droves. So this is a game that's been on PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 that a lot of people, I think, who own PlayStation may not have played in the past because they've come over this generation, but they weren't necessarily PlayStation gamers last generation. Now, for those of you that don't know a lot about Shadow of the Colossus, it was developed by SCE Japan Studios and Team Ico for the PlayStation 2. Now, the original Shadow of the Colossus came out way back in October of 2005, and this version that we're playing now for the PlayStation 4 was actually released in February of 2018. It was actually remastered by Bluepoint Games. Now, Bluepoint Games is also responsible for the God of War HD remasters on the PlayStation 3, the Metal Gear Solid HD Collection remaster, the Gravity Rush remaster, the Uncharted Collection remaster for the PlayStation 4. So they are very skilled at what they do. Now, as far as the game itself goes, it was revolutionary game design for the time. Now, keep in mind the size of this game world that you're seeing in this video clip was designed for the PlayStation 2. It's just gone through an HD remaster. So a lot of the gameplay features in this game, the size of the world, the scope, the complexity, how big it is, that was all done back in the PlayStation 2 era. Now, the whole premise of this game is you play as a character who is known as Wander, and he brings this girl, Mono, to this huge temple with the hope of resurrecting her, and he's basically given a task to go out and slay these huge creatures known as Colossi, which each one is called a Colossus. Colossi, of course, is plural. Now, there are 16 of them total in this game. Each one is different than the other, and there are specific ways that you have to fight these Colossi. You can't just use brute force. You can't, as you can see in this video clip, I see the weak point, but I'm actually trying to shoot it with my arrow. You have to use a certain approach to exploit their weaknesses, and that's an interesting feature, especially since this came out way back 2 generations ago, you know. So once you figure out their weak point, and as you can see, you use the light to show where the weak point is on the Colossus creature. You have to capitalize upon that weakness by doing damage to that specific region. Now, as you can see by what this creature looks like, he has different ledges and such on him. It harkens back to an era of platforming that we don't necessarily see a lot anymore, but it was common at the time. Now, for those of you that might not have been PlayStation 2 gamers, or the PlayStation 3 was your first console, or whatever, it's important to understand the level design and the creature design, the Colossus design. Back whenever this game was created, the old way of platformers was basically transitioning into an era that started to see a lot more open world games. Now, when this game was made, there weren't a lot of open world games. So the fact that it was open world was a huge, memorable part. Another part was the huge boss fights. Now, something important to remember is this came out during the PlayStation 2 era, and another game that came out during the PlayStation 2 era that had huge boss fights was God of War. It was known for it, just like this game is known for the huge boss fights. And like I said, you have 16. There's even a flying Colossus that you have to use your horse. And your horse aggro is actually the only ally you have in tackling some of these bosses, which is tremendously helpful. So this whole game is about you slaying these huge creatures that are all different from one another, and when you're able to slay them, it actually feeds more into the story about trying to resurrect this girl, Mono, that was sacrificed. And I'm not gonna spoil the storyline, but just believe me when I tell you that the story writing, the music, how much it engrosses you, how much it draws you in. It's phenomenal, especially considering this was originally designed as a PlayStation 2 game. This is just the HD remaster. So you might have a lot of people who've seen it and they're like, "Oh, the Shadow of the Colossus, that's what we get for free." It's a phenomenal adventure. And that's what it is. It's an action adventure game designed when sandbox games were just starting out. It has huge boss fights. It has an amazing storyline that you won't forget. And it's definitely worth your time. You'll have a lot of people wanting these bigger AAA games for free titles. But you cannot go wrong with Shadow of the Colossus. Now, my recommendation is that when you do download this, maybe download it on a Friday and spend the whole weekend playing it. Really just soaking up all the details. Really paying attention to the storyline, just getting lost in it. Because that's how good of a game this is. And I think people just need to give it the benefit of the doubt and just enjoy this game for what it is. It's a fusion of different types of games, puzzle, platform, action, adventure, sandbox. And again, it comes from a time when all of those were essentially coming together. Puzzles and platformers had been common throughout the 80s and the 90s. And sandbox was just getting started. You remember Grand Theft Auto had just started during that era. So the huge open world type of games, they weren't as common as they are nowadays. And then, of course, you have tremendous boss fights. And the fact that this is free with the PlayStation Plus membership, and anyone who pays for PlayStation Plus for multiplayer, these free games are just a bonus. So here's a tremendous opportunity for you to experience a very memorable and award-winning game from a bygone era that's received an HD remaster. You get to play it for free. I bought this game. I didn't get it for free. I actually bought it for $20. And I did play through the PlayStation 2 version back in the day. I absolutely loved it. I am going to play through this completely because it is a phenomenal adventure. And I think anyone who hasn't had the chance to enjoy this, it's free for this month with PlayStation Plus. Definitely check it out. Even if you don't want to play it right now, just download it, play it later. I think you'll enjoy it. What are your thoughts and comments about this franchise? I'd love to hear the comments below. As always, this is Steve Sterling with Sentinel17 Gaming. Thank you so much for checking out the video, and I will catch you all later.